Assetto Corsa Evo is releasing next week, so let me take you through everything you need to know so far about the game. And just bear in mind that all the info is up to date at the time this video is going out, so info is subject to change later on. It's going to be releasing into early access on the 16th of January 2025. It's developed by Kunos, published by 505 Games, and it's currently going to be on Steam PC for now during that early access period. Console will be coming but later, during version 1.0 at the earliest. There's no pricing confirmed just yet, but will rise accordingly with the content in each build. And that means if you buy the game day one in early access, you don't have to buy the additional content added. And they've also mentioned that they want to keep the tradition that they had with the original Assetto Corsa that was very successful, to provide additional packages as DLC, as well as free updates and free content. But that probably won't be coming until post 1.0. Modding support will arrive, but this will have to wait until 1.0, not during the early access period. And the mods will be created and approved by Kunos, and this is to prevent licensing issues. There's also going to be a 24-hour day-to-day night cycle, and they're going to be covering any kind of cars, so stock cars to racing, prototypes, Formula 1, vintage, etc. You get the point, everything and everything, just like the original Assetto Corsa. It's also going to have VR and triple screen support. And as well as the usual track racing, there will be free roam. There's an open world map which we're releasing by summer 2025. And during the early access period, it will be releasing in stages and continually expand until it eventually covers 1600 square kilometers or 617 square miles. The free roam area in question is the Eifel region surrounding the Nürburgring in Germany, and in the open world you can rent cars and upgrade vehicles with aftermarket parts, and you can also refuel and recharge in the open world as well, depending on if the car is electric or petrol/diesel based. It's also going to include real-world buildings, signage, and local businesses. And local businesses such as auto parts shops and car rental companies are invited to feature their brand in the game. Kunos have described this as a plus, not a mandatory aspect to enjoy AC Evo, and they want to provide the community with an experience that is immersive without being frustrating. And they will have some game modes that will simplify some of these things, but if you want to go for the realism, you absolutely can. Now, I mentioned earlier about early access, so let's go exactly what is included from next week and what isn't. So initially we're going to have 20 cars. We currently have 4 cars confirmed for early access out of the 20. The Toyota GR86, the Ferrari 296 GTB, the BMW M2 CS Racing, and the Abarth 695 by Posto. And we're also going to be getting 5 tracks as well. And I'll get to tracks later on. It's going to have single player with practice, quick race, and the driving academy mode. Those are the 3 modes that we're going to have. The driving academy mode is an A to B time attack game mode, which will allow players to learn sections of the track while driving a wide range of cars and classes. And as you hone your skills, you earn licenses in the driving academy, which will let you access higher car classes. And there'll be 4 to 5 licenses at early access. I'm assuming they'll add more later. And each license will require you to complete 5 events, and we'll have 1 track per license, so the experience of the driving academy will be progressive. So that means if you do go into the driving academy, you'll actually go on every single track in early access at that point. And yes, that does mean there's no multiplayer at launch. This is going to be added later in the 2nd or 3rd major update to the early access build, but before 1.0. And when it launches, it is expected to feature daily ranked races that utilizes SimGrid's platform, as well as driver profile and race stats. And with each early access build, Kunos will gather player feedback and continually add new content. So the early access build will gradually add cars that are more extreme and more powerful, so the devs can provide an experience that matches the game economy. And there are going to be 4 or 5 key updates expected during the early access period, and version 1.0 is expected to arrive in autumn 2025. So what we're getting is a snapshot of the full game, and then eventually it's going to expand into a lot more content as time goes on. And that's really the sort of early access summary. Each vehicle is reproduced through an advanced system that simulates mechanical, electronic, and aerodynamic performance, combined with the fidelity of circuits created using laser scan technology. And it also has a high-performance photorealistic engine. Talking of the engine, let's go into a few things about the new engine that they're using. They're not using Unreal Engine, they're using their own in-house one again, just like with the original Assetto Corsa. It's going to have dynamic weather and tracks, advanced technology for VR and triple screen support. Free roam based on their new terrain technology allows to manage a big map and hundreds of kilometers of roads. For physics, due to good relations with car manufacturers, they've combined supplied car data with being able to drive these cars on track and roads to better match the real counterpart with the virtual one. The devs have also sort of mentioned about the possibility for people to enjoy a different way in AC Evo, not just on the track but also on the road, as there are some cars that are great to drive but not eligible on the track, and the example that they gave was the Morgan Super 3-wheeler. So it's made so you can enjoy any car in AC Evo, and in trying to broaden the audience, they're not making the game easier or simcade, but collected ideas and suggestions from the way they've seen people enjoy modding, like the LA Canyon and the Tokyo Highway, so that's the Shikoku Revival project for the original Assetto Corsa. And because they've seen that people really enjoy AC in a different way, they want to do the same, but not through the modding, but the content generated and created in the game that is based on real data and locations that will be connected with the life of petrol heads. And they're not going to include scenarios that are boring for a petrol head or a car enthusiast. And the development of AC Evo started 4 years ago, designed from scratch with a different structure to support the game for many years, and they want to expand the game possibly forever. But they don't just want to create a career, but something that's an RPG for the car enthusiasts or petrol heads, as some will want to collect different models, drive on track, drive on road, tune and customize. AC Evo will allow you to do all of those things. When it comes to the career, they want to move away from a scripted career experience. They want to have the entire experience with progress and a game economy system to be as simple as it can, but will help players enter the game with a budget, choose the car first with total freedom, then you can play and accumulate experience and virtual currency. And this virtual currency is just in game, no microtransactions. And then you can buy the cars that you want. Now, if you don't want to do that, you don't have to, and have a more sandbox experience, but would have to rent those cars. The disadvantage of this is simply no customization, and owning the car is all about making it your car. And talking of customization, the customization options won't be as extensive as, say, Need for Speed games, but there will be options to add parts such as skirts, spoilers, air intakes, along with paint and liveries. And for each car, all the configurations and engines that you would find in any dealership will be available. So if your favorite car is sold both in petrol and diesel, for example, or in a version that mounts 17-inch wheels with a sunroof, then that will also be the case. And buying and driving more powerful cars will be restricted to require licenses, as I sort of mentioned earlier, and will have the freedom to choose how you want to progress in Assetto Corsa Evo's career mode. They don't want to force the player to do something they don't want to do, so if you want to buy 50 Alpines in every available colour, you can do it. But if instead you want to save event after event 1 to make a hypercar yours as soon as possible, you'll be allowed to. It's up to you to set goals and decide how to enjoy Assetto Corsa Evo. SimGrid is also partnered up with Kunos to support the vision of multiplayer, and that means that Kunos can focus on game development with the mechanics, etc., and they're using SimGrid for the experience and skill, not exclusive with SimGrid, but to create an ecosystem. And they want to keep it open for everyone of any kind of organization or league, so they make it so you never leave Evo even when you don't use Evo. And that sort of, the way that they mentioned that sort of might seem or indicate a companion app of some sort, of some description, although nothing's confirmed as of yet on that aspect. That's just reading between the lines. And they're also changing how they manage servers, so it's always going to be server-centric, no peer-to-peer. And AC Evo will have an interconnected system with whatever you choose to play, so your modified Alpine will be used for all different modes, but there will be a different version for esports which will be removed, but everyone's home experience will be interconnected. Now let's talk about the tracks. There are 7 confirmed tracks. 5 of these are going to be available during early access on the 16th. So we're going to have a Mola, Brands Hatch, Fuji, Laguna Seca, Mount Panorama, Nürburgring Nordschleife, and Suzuka. And the 5 that will be getting into early access is a Mola, Brands Hatch, Laguna Seca, Mount Panorama, and Suzuka. So no Nürburgring and no Fuji at the moment, but will be later. There's going to be expected to be a total of 20 tracks by version 1.0 and 5 more added post 1.0 for free. So that's 25 tracks when we get to that point. As for the cars, there are going to be 42 of them. So this is the car list. the Abarth 595, the Alfa Romeo 75 Turbo Evoluzione, the Alfa Romeo Giulia GTA-M, Alfa Romeo Giulia Sprinter GTA, the Alfa Romeo Junior Electrica 280 Veloce, the Alpine A110S, the Alpine A290 Concept, the Audi RS3 Sportback 4th generation, the Audi RS6, the BMW M4 CSL, the BMW M2 Coupe G87, the BMW M2 CS Racing, the Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 6th generation, the Ford Fiesta ST Mark 8.5, the Ford Escort Cosworth RS, the Ferrari 296 GTB, the Ferrari 488 Challenge Evo, the Ferrari F40 Competizione, the Ferrari Daytona SP3, the Honda NSX 1st generation, the Hyundai i20N, the Hyundai i30N, the Hyundai Elantra N TCR, the Hyundai Ioniq 5N, the Hyundai N Vision, the Lamborghini Huracan STO, Lotus Emira, Lotus Exige Series 3, the Mazda MX-5 NA, the Mazda MX-5 ND Race Modified, the McLaren 765 LT, the Mercedes-Benz 190e Evo 2, the Mercedes-AMG GT2, the Mercedes-Benz AMG GT63 6192, the Mercedes-AMG GT63 V8 BI Turbo, the Morgan Super 3, the Rover Mini Cooper 1.3i, the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup 992, the Porsche 911 Turbo 3.6 964, the Toyota GR86, the Volkswagen Golf Mark 1 GTI, and the Volkswagen Golf Mark 8 GTI Club Sport. And remember, only 20 of these are going to be in early access when launched, rest will be added later, and there's going to be over 100 cars expected by version 1.0. Now I want to talk about the brands, because yes, I've just gone through the car list, but during one of the more recent trailers, we actually did see some UI with the brands which might not add up to the track list. So there might be some repeating here, but these are all the brands confirmed: Abarth, Alfa Romeo, Alpine, Audi, BMW, Cadillac, Chevrolet, Ferrari, Ford, Honda, Hyundai, Lamborghini, Lancia, Lotus, Maserati, Mazda, Mercedes-Benz, Mini, Morgan, Porsche, Toyota, and Volkswagen. Now for the system requirements at the time this video is going out. For the minimum specs, it's going to be an Intel i7 8700K or an AMD 1500X with 16GB of RAM, a GTX 1070 or RX 580 for graphics card, 100GB of available storage space, and the VR support is Steam VR, Oculus VR, and OpenXR, and they have mentioned that an SSD is required. For recommended, the processor is an Intel i5 10500 with an AMD 2600X, 16GB of RAM. For graphics, an RTX 2070 or a Radeon RX 5600, and honestly I don't think that's too intensive for the mass majority. I think they're quite reasonable, in fact. And that's it. That is everything we know so far about Assetto Corsa Evo. I'd like to know in the comments below, what are you most excited for coming in Assetto Corsa Evo? And will you be picking up in early access, or will you be waiting a little bit until it's got a bit more features and content? If you enjoyed this video, found it helpful and informative, and like to see more content like this one, make sure you are subscribed. I will continue keeping you up to date on Assetto Corsa Evo info, as well as other racing and simulation content. So if that interests you, you can stick around, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.